I met Timothy in a strange way 8 years ago. When there was severe flooding in 2016, we were both stranded in this cafe in a tiny town. Roads were blocked. Due to the lack of cell service, we spent 6 hours playing cards with several locals. In what should have been a difficult moment, he made me chuckle. When the service returned, we traded Instagrams, began dating a month later, and 2 years later, they were married. Avery. Our 6-year-old daughter is the absolute joy of my life. No matter how many times I tell her not to, she is this little whirlwind of energy who never stops dancing, whirling, and jumping on furniture. She kept talking about her buddy Olivia's dance classes and how the teacher allowed them to wear actual ballerina shoes when she got home from school a few months ago. Additionally, would she be able to attend classes as well? It struck me as a brilliant concept. Since Avery is so vivacious, I thought dancing would be the ideal activity for her. Timothy had a strange response when I brought it up to him that evening. He laughed as he raised his head from his phone. This contemptuous snort made me immediately defensive and wasn't a pleasant chuckle. He remarked that with his pay alone, we couldn't afford luxuries like dance classes, and that perhaps I should make a larger financial contribution if I wanted Avery to participate in such activities. I was completely unprepared for this. We both agreed that after Avery was born, I would reduce my work to part-time, and from what I understood, we weren't having financial difficulties. Even though we don't take expensive holidays, we have a modest house, 2 paid-off older cars. And I didn't think we were in such bad shape that paying $60 a month for dancing was beyond of our price range. When I said that, Timothy opened our bank app and showed me how little money was left over after monthly bills. The figures didn't seem right for some reason, but I couldn't figure out why. I decided to take a second job and found an evening shift at this cafe near our house because he has always handled our finances because he has a knack for numbers. The timetable was harsh. I served tables 4 nights a week in addition to my normal employment throughout the day. My feet hurt and I smelled like fried oil when I got home. Timothy claimed that my remark of my fatigue was exaggerated. He truly said, and I will never forget this, that if I made only a small financial contribution, I didn't deserve to be exhausted. Hey, this was for Avery's dance courses, so I swallowed my pride. Avery was still not taking dancing classes, with the exception of 3 months into my second employment. Timothy had an explanation each time I brought it up. The good studio was packed. We ought to hold off until the following meeting. First, we had to save a little more. As this was going on, I began to notice things like Avery bringing home new toys that I hadn't purchased, talking about going to the zoo with Timothy on my work evenings, or bringing up Lisa, who was reportedly Daddy's buddy. Timothy told me that Lisa was merely a coworker going through a divorce, who occasionally hung out with them because she was lonely when I casually inquired about her. He said that she was terrific with children and that it allowed him to have adult conversations on the nights that I worked. I suppose it made sense. Avery then began saying strange things like, "Lila takes better pictures than Mommy," and "Can Lisa come to my birthday? What's the kicker?" She began referring to me as Mirror occasionally rather than Mommy. "Lisa calls you Mira." She shrugged when I questioned her about it. Thus, I also assumed that was your name. That raised serious concerns. I didn't see anything fishy on Timothy's Instagram. No. Lisa looked at his Facebook page. The same thing. He became agitated and stated that I was being paranoid and that his friendship wasn't worth discussing when I attempted to bring her up again in a casual way. 3 months ago, things really began to fall apart. One night, the diner was slow, so I left early. The house was deserted. Timothy wasn't responding to texts and his car was gone. When he did answer, he said they were going to get ice cream and would be home shortly. An hour later, they showed up and Avery was raving excitedly about the cartoon movie they had just seen while sporting a brand new clothing I had never seen before. Ice cream is not a movie. And it was obvious they included Lisa based on the way she spoke. Avery went to bed and I walked up to Timothy, questioned why he had misled regarding their location. Questioned why, given that we allegedly couldn't afford dance lessons, Avery had new outfits. Asked our family just who this Lisa person was. He gave me a chilly look I had never seen before and remarked, "Perhaps she would still call you Mommy if you were more fun." I was stunned and just stood there, hurt and angry. But I remained silent, simply nodded and left. Because how can you respond to that? 5 months have passed since then. And I've been listening ever since, observing and working. The pattern is also obvious. My nights off are always coincident with Timothy's work dinners. Avery noted that when I work late shifts, I occasionally stay at Lisa's house. Our credit card is charged for nighttime dining and movie tickets. I was informed by Timothy that he was working late. Even with Timothy's new clothes and high-end watches, we are still unable to pay for Avery's dance lessons. I discovered a pile of pictures hidden in Avery's dresser drawer last week while I was assisting her with cleaning her room. Images of her at an amusement park with a woman I had never seen before, and Timothy. A water park. What appeared to be a Christmas party. Dates were printed on the back of the pictures. This began more than a year ago, prior to my second employment. I assume Lisa the woman is attractive in the sense of an Instagram influencer. Perfect blonde teeth, the sort of easy-to-wear high-end casual clothing that most likely cost a week's worth of my diner pay. Avery is dressed for a dance in one picture, complete with a tutu and everything. It was scheduled more than a year ago. I suppose Dad stopped taking her to courses at that time. She didn't tell me. And it wasn't until Olivia brought it up again that I realized. He then informed me that we were unable to pay for dance lessons, forced me to take a second job. All the while he was spending a lot of money taking our daughter to dancing classes with another woman. Avery asked me yesterday if Lisa would ever become her new mother, as simple as that, in between cereal nibbles during breakfast. I almost dropped my mug of coffee. I questioned her about what led her to believe that. Because she sleeps in Daddy's room when I visit her, and because Daddy and Lisa are special friends, she shrugged. With such knowledge, I'm not even sure what to do. I need to be clever about this, which is why I haven't confronted Timothy yet. I can't just blow up and ruin Avery's entire situation. Here is my strategy. Copies of our financial records from the previous year are what I'm asking for. I'm rearranging my supper shifts to better accommodate Avery's timetable. Every picture and piece of evidence I come across will be saved. Next Monday, I have an appointment with a lawyer. I'm tired of being taken advantage of and exhausted as my spouse starts a new family with an other lady. I'm done seeing my daughter leave me. Everything I believe to be true is false, and I feel as though I'm living in another reality. The initial update. My updates, however, are not good. Do you recall that I said I would ask for copies of our financial records? I did one better, though. Our money has always been managed by Timothy, who says I'm not good with money. It was his words, not mine. He set up online banking years ago, and I discovered that I no longer even had the login credentials, even though our primary account is joint. When I tried the password, I assumed we used it didn't work. Last Wednesday, after my lunch break, I went straight to our bank branch rather than asking him, which would have given him away right away. When I mentioned that I required statements but didn't have internet access to my own account, the teller first gave me that doubtful look. She was really helpful, though, when I presented my ID and clarified that I was a joint account holder who only required access to our family's money. I felt like puking in the bank lobby after seeing what I did. Timothy has been sending monthly sums of money, typically between $300 and $500, to a different account that I was unaware of for the previous 18 months. Like clockwork on the first of each month, along with sporadic extra transfers that ranged in size from little to large, and coincided with what I now know were his work trips. The total amounted to more than $28,000 in the last year alone. $28,000. We allegedly couldn't afford the $60 per month for dance classes, so here I am working double shifts at a diner for months. It is less than the amount he deposits into this enigmatic account in a single day. Occasionally, but hold on, it will either get better or worse. Really regular charges at locations I didn't identify were displayed in the statements, many tabs for restaurants, significantly more than we ever spend on family outings. Hotel rates in neighboring cities. We were on a tight budget at the time, so I was thankful that he gave me a $20 scarf from Target instead of a diamond store that cost over $1,000 at Christmas. I did something I had never done before when I got home from the bank. While Timothy was at work, I rummaged through his desk drawers. In my own home, I felt like a criminal. sorting through documents with trembling hands. What I discovered, however, was worse than I had anticipated. A credit card statement showing 3 months' worth of charges for airline tickets to Florida on an account that is solely in Timothy's name. He informed me he was at an upstate training seminar throughout that week. 2 tickets, one for Lisa Harrington and one for him. I used my phone to take pictures of everything. The property tax statement for a unit across town that I was unaware we owned was then discovered. In other words, Timothy's name appears only on the document that was bought a year ago. When I work late at night, do you know where Avery goes? It's a whole different property that my husband purchased without my knowledge, not Lisa's house as she claims. At that point, everything began to fall into place. I had been killing myself at the diner for several $100s more money he didn't even need for months. I used to believe that he forced me to take that second job because we were having financial difficulties, or because things were more difficult than I thought. However, I now see it as a means of keeping me occupied when I'm not at home. Too tired to inquire if I'm absent each night. After that, Lisa gets to play Mommy Make Pancakes and set the bedtime. Dancing classes weren't the focus of that second job. Getting out of my way was the goal. The remainder of the afternoon was spent taking careful pictures of everything I discovered in a strange, serene state of shock. After returning everything to its proper place, we sat on our back porch and stared at nothing until it was time to pick up Avery from school. When she saw me, rather than Timothy, her face lit up as she ran out of the building. On Wednesdays, he generally does pick up. I decided, no more working dinner shifts when she was awake. No more skipping school functions and bedtimes. I will no longer allow this other woman to replace me. I changed my schedule and gave the diner a call that evening. Avery works 2 evening shifts on the weekends when she has events with friends and an early morning duty before she wakes up. I would rather eat ramen for dinner than lose another moment of my daughter's youth, even if it means spending less money. When I informed Timothy of the timetable change, he was taken aback. Inquired as to if this meant I was leaving the second job completely. I simply grinned and expressed my desire to spend more time with Avery. He appeared uneasy, remarked that he still required the additional money. I simply answered, "I'll make it work," and shrugged. After school the following day, I took Avery out for ice cream, only the 2 of us. At first, she seemed somewhat shy around me, which devastated me. At what point had my own kid lost her identity? However, she was talking about her friends in school by the time we completed our Sundays. As casually as possible, I asked her if she was still interested in taking dancing classes. I could tell everything from the way her whole face lit up, so I drove directly to Olivia's dance class and immediately signed her up. I used the money I had been saving from diner tips to pay for a full 3 months in advance. Avery literally started leaping up and down in the parking lot when I informed her. I answered in a neutral tone that Lisa didn't have to know everything when she asked when she could tell her. This might be what makes us unique. Avery and Mom alone. Avery had her first class that weekend. She had been hankering after those tiny ballet slippers, so I got her a nice leotard. When we brought her dance equipment home, Timothy was strangely silent. Inquired about the source of the funds. I just said that I had been putting money aside for Avery's special occasion. I could see he wasn't happy, but he didn't press it. I continued to dig for the next few weeks. Although Lisa's Instagram account was found to be secret, her profile image verified that she was the woman in the pictures. I discovered that she works for the same company as Timothy on LinkedIn. A huge surprise. 2 months after he informed me we needed to tighten our belts and that I should take on more shifts, I found the registration for the condo purchase. I became more irate with each new finding, but I also became more determined. I opened my own bank account at a different bank, started transferring little amounts from my diner tips into it, and started creating backup copies of crucial documents. As a precaution, I asked my mother to save copies of the evidence I had collected. I didn't go into specifics when I told her that Timothy and I were having problems, wanted to avoid worrying her just yet. I met with a lawyer for a consultation last Tuesday, laid everything out. The trips, the condo, the hidden accounts, everything. She took notes and occasionally asked clarifying questions while listening objectively. She inquired what I wanted after I was done looking up from her notepad. I became aware that I hadn't really told myself that. What was it that I desired? I want everything about my daughter back. I desire financial security, independent of a man who has been defrauding me for years. I want to avoid ever feeling like I'm insane for having doubts about things that don't make sense. Lisa should be removed from my family's lives. I want Timothy to be held accountable for his actions. We had options with the financial evidence I'd gathered and the documentation of his ongoing relationship with Lisa, the lawyer stated, nodding. I was entitled to a good divorce settlement. I should keep collecting evidence, she said, but I should be careful not to give away too much too soon. Avery's situation, meantime, has been improving daily. Rather of informing me about what Lisa taught her, she begs me to practice with her at home because she enjoys her dancing classes. For the first time in months, she called me Mama yesterday, and I had to excuse myself to the bathroom so she wouldn't see me crying. In addition to getting home late and departing early, Timothy has been behaving more anxious and checking his phone more frequently. In our backyard yesterday, I heard him talking on the phone in that tense, low voice people use when they're fighting but don't want to be heard. Court fragments regarding suspicion questioning and the need for further time. I acted as though I was unaware. I wasn't prepared for how things ended last night. Timothy was upset when he got home from work and paced the kitchen as I prepared dinner. Every few minutes, he looked at his watch, asked when I would stop taking this pointless dance class as it was a waste of money. I continued to chop vegetables, replied that I had already paid for 3 months in advance and that Avery liked her classes without even looking up. The plates rattled as he slapped his hand down on the counter, demanded to know how I obtained the funds. With my knife still in hand, I glanced up at last and informed him that I had been keeping my tips to myself. I was free to spend the money I made, especially on our daughter. His expression was strange, as if he was unable to choose between fear and anger. In the end, he slammed the door and stormed out. She ran down when she heard the commotion coming from her chamber, asked about Daddy's whereabouts. I simply told her that he needed some air and gave her a hug. In the end, we spent a girls' night in the living room, practicing her dance moves, eating pizza, and getting our nails done. It was after midnight when he returned home. I acted like I was sleeping. Timothy's mother texted me this morning to inquire if we would still be attending their anniversary celebration the following weekend. I told them how much they were anticipating our arrival, and how his father was thrilled to finally meet Timothy's friend Lisa, who would also be there. Go over that again. He invited Lisa to his parents' anniversary celebration. They seem to be aware of her, but have been misled into thinking she is merely an acquaintance. I replied via text, saying it would be great to meet Lisa in person, and that we will definitely be there. Naturally, a screenshot was preserved. Then, thinking I had just discovered the ideal moment to tell my lawyer what I knew, I called him. A family get-together where I can finally stop acting like I don't understand what's happening, where Lisa will be there, and where Timothy couldn't cause a scene in front of his parents. The attorney believed it was dangerous but could work. Advised me to bring hard copies of important financial records, nothing that could be explained away or written off as misinterpreted. That's the current situation. The anniversary celebration is 1 week away. I'm frightened but strangely at ease. I've been compiling what my mother would refer to as a "fuck you" folder. Copies of bank statements, real estate documents, photographs, and other documents that are all well organized and unquestionable proof. I'm tired of working double shifts as a waitress, as my spouse develops a covert relationship with another lady. I'm tired of being misled about our money. I'm tired of seeing another lady attempt to raise Avery in my place. The second update. Since my last report 4 days ago, things have accelerated. At 2 in the morning, I am writing this from my mother's guest room, due to my inability to sleep. I've been prepping on several fronts for the anniversary party tomorrow because this week has been quite the roller coaster. However, I was caught off guard by an unexpected event that occurred yesterday. Let me explain everything and give you my support. I found out the day following my last post that Timothy was going to take Lisa to his parents' anniversary celebration. I chose to take a measured chance. Since Timothy normally handles family communications, I rarely call his mother personally. At the gathering, I casually stated that I was excited to meet Lisa at last and asked her what she knew about her. The phone paused for a strange moment. Then his mother said something that made it all clear. She related how Timothy had indicated that Lisa was assisting with Avery while I was concentrating on developing my career at my second job. I was having trouble juggling work and parenting, and Lisa was merely filling in as a friend, she said. In fact, his mother sounded empathetic toward Lisa, the woman who has been having affairs with my husband and acting as my daughter's mother. She told me how last month, when I was working late, Timothy took Lisa to their house for dinner. In order to ostensibly assist our families financially, I worked late at the diner. Before I could say something, I would later regret I made some ambiguous, polite noises and hung up. After that, I spent around 5 minutes screaming into my jacket while sitting in my car in the Target parking lot. I asked for assistance from my own mother after that call. Since she lives 3 hours away, and I didn't want her to worry, I've been keeping her in the dark about how terrible things actually are. But I needed backing, so I told her everything at last. Mom was upset. I'm mad with myself for not telling her sooner, not just at Timothy. She continued promising to drive up right away during our heated argument, but I insisted that I had to take care of things myself. We made concessions. The day following the anniversary celebration, she would arrive to assist with Avery while I dealt with the fallout. After securing that backup, I focused on 3 things: completing my evidence gathering and improving my connection with Avery. I was mentally getting ready for what was about to happen. I've given Avery's dance class time my whole attention. Although I'm genuinely awful at it, I joined the parent class I mentioned, and I have the coordination of a baby giraffe. It's amusing in the greatest way, according to Avery. Like a tiny dancing instructor, she has been teaching me the serious, business-like moves she learns in her class. It has turned into something unique for us. I went her to have ice cream on Wednesday afternoon after picking her up early from school, while enjoying our Sundays while seated. She asked me a question that made me cry again. She asked whether I was upset with her for having feelings for Lisa. I had to inhale deeply before responding. I assured her that I could never be angry with her for having feelings for someone, and that the mature issues between Lisa Daddy and me weren't her fault. After expressing relief, she posed yet another outrageous question. She was curious as to whether Lisa would now live with them permanently at the other house. I questioned her about the other house. She described it as if it were the most commonplace that she occasionally stays at Daddy and Lisa's house, which has a lovely pink room exclusively for her and a variety of toys that are inappropriate for our home. There, she even has a unicorn-themed toothbrush of her own. And there it was. The condo I found in Timothy's name is essentially Lisa's home, where they have been playing house with my daughter, I have confirmed. They've put up an entire parallel existence for Avery with a bedroom. I asked a few more questions and was able to control myself. My world wasn't tilted on its axis again, so I was just interested. I discovered that Miss Lisa prepares delicious Mickey Mouse-shaped pancakes, and that the other house had a pool within the structure. I presented all of the evidence I had gathered, including bank statements, property records, photographs, text, and screenshots after Avery had gone to sleep that evening. I prepared what my attorney referred to as a packet of divorce documents. Everything is well organized in a folder, and copies are kept in several places in both digital and physical formats. One was on a new Google Drive account that Timothy is unaware of. One was in my personal email, and one was with my mother. Then I took an unexpected action. I discovered the condo address in Timothy's paperwork and drove past it. I had no intention of entering or confronting anyone. All I had to do was witness it for myself. It was in one of those upscale new mixed-use downtown projects, the kind with luxury apartments above and boutique stores on the ground floor that cost more a month than our mortgage. Timothy began acting strangely the following day. He never did arrive home early from work. Inquiries regarding my schedule, who was minding Avery while I was at the diner, and whether my mother would be coming over suddenly became strangely detailed. He once grabbed my phone from the counter in the kitchen and inquired as to whether I had changed my passcode. I hadn't. I had taken care not to alter any of my typical behaviors. No, I told him, I must be forgetting it. He made another attempt, entered swiftly, browsed through something, and then set it down as if it were nothing. He proposed that we discuss our relationship that evening. This is coming from a man who has shunned meaningful discussions throughout our marriage. He began by saying that although he was aware that things had been challenging recently, He believed we could get through this stage, stated that because the diner work was stressing everyone out, perhaps I should reduce it. I simply nodded and promised to give it some thought. Alarms were ringing inside. He was aware that something was wrong. Lisa might have noticed me outside the condo. Perhaps his mother had mentioned our call. Perhaps he saw the financial records I had copied and put back on his desk on Friday morning. It was strange that Timothy was already gone when I woke up yesterday, since it was a weekday. There was no sign of sleep on his side of the bed. He fled before she woke up, according to Avery. I went to see my lawyer one last time before the anniversary celebration after dropping Avery off at school. We reviewed the facts once more, spoke about how to handle the encounter, and discussed what to anticipate next. She told me that Timothy might try to turn his family against me, get upset, and try to gaslight everyone. It would be difficult for him to deny everything, though, given the proof I had. A vase of roses was on the kitchen counter when I arrived home. A card with roses and the words, "I love our family tea." Timothy has sent me flowers in our 8 years of marriage. Twice, exactly. Once after Avery was born, and once when we were dating. These were not flowers of apologies. They were. You know something, I'm sure of it. Flowers. After placing them in the guest restroom, I continued with my day. I had 17 missed calls from Timothy by the time I picked up Avery from school. I texted him to ask if everything was all right because my phone had been on mute throughout a meeting. He called right away and asked where I was. Avery sounded frantic. I informed him that we were going to the shopping center to find Avery a clothing for his parents' anniversary celebration. He stated he will be home for dinner after appearing to relax, asked if we could spend the evening as a family. I concurred. He arrived with ice cream and pizza. Avery's favorite played games and acted like a fantastic dad the entire evening, assisting with homework, offering to take a bath. It was similar to witnessing a performer try out for the Father of the Year award. Avery sat down on the couch beside me after he went to bed, more intimate than he's willingly been in months. Began discussing the possibility of taking a family trip shortly, only the three of us. How he has been considering our future. Avery's need for both of her parents is immense. As I watched him play the part of the loyal husband, I couldn't help but wonder whether he thought I was believing it. He reached for my hand once, and since it was easier than yanking away, I let him grab it. Sweat was on his palm. He inquired as to whether I still intended to attend his parents' anniversary celebration tomorrow. Naturally, I replied, why wouldn't I be? His expression of relief was almost ludicrous. He then remarked nonchalantly that his friend Lisa was unlikely to attend after all. It has to do with a family emergency. I simply remarked, that's too bad, and nodded. I had been anticipating our meeting. Timothy was watching me sleep when I woke up this morning. Not in a sentimental sense, in a kind of anxious observation. He quickly claimed he was just getting up when I opened my eyes, inquired about my breakfast preferences. Before going to his parents' house later, should we take Avery to the park? Yes, that sounded good, I responded with a smile. After I got out of the shower, I noticed him browsing through my phone once more. He was unaware that I was observing from the corridor. He jumped as if I had shocked him as I cleared my throat, then dropped my phone on the couch. I realized then that I needed a backup plan. I informed Timothy that I had to do a brief errand to get a present for his parents after breakfast. Rather than waiting until tomorrow, I drove directly to my mother's house, told her everything that had transpired over the past several days, and asked if she could accompany me back right now. Mom didn't think twice. We drove back together after 10 minutes of packing a bag. Timothy was standing on the porch with his arms crossed when we drew into the driveway, and he appeared to have seen a ghost when he noticed my mother sitting in the passenger seat. The next few hours were a strange dance, in which I pretended everything was normal while completing my mental preparation for tomorrow, while Timothy tried to be charming to my mom while giving me puzzled, worried looks when she wasn't watching Mom being polite but chilly. I informed Timothy that my mother needed assistance setting up for a brunch tonight, so I would be staying at her house. Next week, she will be hosting. He attempted to protest, but with my mother right there, he was unable to say anything. I have my evidence folder and a change of clothes for the party tomorrow, so I'm at my mom's house. Tomorrow afternoon, the anniversary celebration will begin at 3 o'clock. Timothy believes I'm going to meet him there. Both of us are anticipated by his parents. In addition, my lawyer Avery is waiting for a call later. And Lisa, even though Timothy claims she had a family issue, I have a hunch she will be there. In any case, I'm prepared. The pictures will do the talking. I realize it may sound harsh to confront him during his parents' anniversary celebration, but I'm done trying to salvage his reputation or feelings after months of lying gaslighting and seeing him attempt to take Avery's position as her mother. I deserve to regain my dignity on my own terms, and his parents deserve to know who their son truly is. The last update. 3 weeks have passed after Timothy's parents' anniversary celebration. I've made numerous attempts to write this update. I started typing but stopped since the words didn't fit together properly. I owe it to everyone who has been so nice in their messages, even though it's difficult to take it all in. Sincerely, thank you. Even though I haven't had the energy to reply, I have read everyone. Things didn't go as planned that day. A little after 3, Mom and I arrived with Avery. Outside, Timothy was already pacing the driveway. His shirt was crumpled, his hands were fumbling as if he couldn't stay still, and he looked terrible without a beard. He attacked me as soon as I opened the car door, claiming that we wanted some alone time. At that moment, I simply said that I would go in to see his parents first so that Avery wouldn't witness our argument, and continued to walk away. He trailed behind, murmuring something I couldn't understand. The house was cozy and comfortable inside. Every wall has pictures of his parents together for 40 years, 15 to 20 individuals conversing over drinks, perhaps. His mother quickly approached, gave Avery a hug, complimented her on her attire, and then turned to face me. Timothy had warned her that I might be stuck at work, so she was relieved when I made it. It hurt. I informed her that I had changed my schedule weeks prior to be there after realizing he had been making excuses about me. She paused as if uncertain of what to say next, then grinned and continued. I was carrying the folder that I had been working on for days. All of the property documents, bank statements, and pictures. I gave it to his mother when everyone sat down for lunch. It was something she ought to see about our family, I replied. She began looking through the transfers to the hidden account as soon as she opened it. The condo records, the photos of Timothy and Lisa with Avery. Her expression shifted as if she was incredulous at what she was holding. When Timothy reached for it and said it wasn't what it appeared to be, his father intervened, took the folder, and began reading as well. He simply continued page by page without saying anything. Timothy attempted to clarify that I had misinterpreted the money's intended use, because the pictures were outdated. It had a hollow sound. After a minute, his father looked up and inquired as to whether it was all real. Timothy tried to justify it by saying that our marriage was difficult, but it didn't work. His mother questioned why I hadn't informed them earlier. I mentioned that I had only recently learned the whole truth. She nodded, but it was obvious that she was conflicted, as if she wasn't sure how to handle all of it. Then Lisa entered. Perhaps 30 minutes had passed. She was standing there with a present bag in her hand and a genuine smile when I heard the doorbell. After turning pale, Timothy hurried over and began whispering to her in an attempt to persuade her to go. She paused when she spotted me, but she remained silent. She was approached first by his sister, asked if she was aware of Timothy's marriage. Lisa agreed, but he informed her that we would just be remaining together for Avery until everything was resolved. His sister asked how far that appeared after showing her a picture of the 3 of us from the Christmas folder. Lisa was at a loss for words. A few minutes later, she departed Timothy, promising to tell his family about it later. Fortunately, Avery spent the entire time playing in the backyard with my mom and a few cousins far from the action. After a while, his father approached me, inquired as to the accuracy of all I had brought. "It was," I said. He gave a nod, declared his apologies, and nothing more. Between breaths, his mother continued to move, but I saw that she glanced at me a few times, as if she wanted to say something more. At last, she asked if we could speak in private later, but I told her that I had to get Avery home right now. We went after. I thanked them for allowing us to apologize for the outcome. His father gave me a handshake. His mother hugged me tentatively. Timothy called often that evening. I didn't answer. I went to my lawyer the following day and began the divorce procedure. It's not finished, not even close, We requested interim custody of Avery, but Timothy is objecting, claiming that I'm attempting to remove him from her life. A few days later, he moved out, stopped over while I was at the cafe, and collected his clothes and a few other items from the garage. I haven't asked Avery, but I believe he is currently at the condo. The hardest part has been him. She constantly questioning why her father doesn't come home and where he is. We both adore her, even if we're living apart now, I tell her. She accepts it on some days. She doesn't on other days. She sobbed herself to sleep last weekend, expressing how much she missed him, and Lisa asked if they were upset with her. I embraced her. I broke even though I told her it wasn't her fault. I'm still unsure of how to respond when she brings up Lisa's house, the pool, and the toys. In order to spend more time with Avery after school, I reduced my supper shift to a couple early mornings. The finances are tight. Although nothing is fixed until the court makes a decision, Timothy is expected to pay support. And it's taking a long time. I'm managing it with the remaining funds from my tech savings and my day job. Avery continues to attend dance classes. She can't quit loving them, and it keeps me going to see her smiling there. Since then, Timothy has made 2 appearances at the diner. He appeared to have been awake when he stood by the counter the first time. Want a conversation? I continued to move while claiming to be working. When he refused to go, my boss told him to. He said he had made a mistake and wanted to make things right the second time, so he waited outside until my shift ended. I walked away after telling him I could no longer do this. I haven't responded to his little texts about missing us, but he has sent them a few times since. Last Sunday, his parents gave him a call. His mother inquired about Avery's well-being, claimed they were unaware of the severity of the situation. She didn't say much, but she sounded depressed and even guilty. I informed her that while I don't hold it against them, I need some pause before we continue our conversation. Right now, I have no idea what they're saying to Timothy. I'm attempting to determine what comes next. On certain days, I feel stable while preparing supper and watching Avery practice her dancing moves in the living room. On other days, it really gets to me. After I drop her off at school, I'll sit in the car and cry, wondering how we got here. I still don't know what will happen to all that money he had, and the divorce is going to take months, if not longer. It's not finished yet. Unclean. At least I'm not acting anymore, though. My lawyer discovered the source of the funds a few days ago. Through his job, Timothy has been accepting side gigs. He didn't tell me about any further employment, as well as directing the funds to that second account. Silent, steady, and totally unnoticed. He paid for the condo in this way. The journey's everything. In order to purchase ballet shoes, I was tallying diner tips. He was using money I had no idea existed to create an entire second life.